Getting hot. Hot, hot, hot. Feels like summer. Finally. Bit of a January there for first couple weeks. Now I have to get out. All of a sudden I have to get out in the morning. Otherwise it's too hot. It's either too hot or too cold. It's never... whatever. So picking up from where I left off. Uh-oh, dogs. God, I hate loose dogs. Yeah, people are always like, oh, don't worry about it. He won't hurt you. He won't bite. It's like, yeah, I don't know your dog. I don't know your dog. Doesn't look like you have control over your dog either. Seems like it comes and goes at its own recognizance. Not at all a happy thing. Here he comes. And he's going to take full advantage of not being on a leash. So... Hi. That's the first time I've seen a belled dog. Usually it's a belled cat. This is a belled dog. So CL, that's right. That was done. Another burned bridge, burned opportunity. Oh, this dog doesn't leap at me and bark at me anymore. Oh, spoke too soon. What's going on? Doesn't recognize my smell, I guess, yet. What's up? What's up? What's going on? Oh, he's much better, though, than he was. He used to fucking flip out at me. It scared me, actually. So during that time, again, this is all muddled. Don't think the timeline is like I'm telling you, like, chronologically. It's that my sense of time for decades was badly compromised. Just sort of picking out the highlights and trying to string them together but they were all happening all at once. Which is probably why my sense of time, so much going on, my sense of time was just boggled. But I mean, there were themes. Oh man, it's hot. I'm gonna have to take my coat off, I guess. Woo! Holy hot. Okay, time to pause. Hang on, I gotta take my coat off. Ooh, I don't even know if you can see me. I can't see myself. Oh well. So, yeah, the themes though are anything I tried, anything I tried failed. Relationships failed. Friendships failed. Jobs failed. Vocations failed. Art failed. Everything came to nothing. Just like this looks to be a failure, right? There's no response. Morning. So, but you know what? It just doesn't matter. Failure doesn't matter. Yeah, this old dog has never gotten used to me for some reason. He's got a little chorus line behind him of Little dogs, though, I think he gets egged on by them. He's the big lab, and he barks like a fiend to impress them. They all sit behind him and praise his prowess. He's the big dog on the block. Yeah. Holy hot. The sun's coming right down behind me. See that sun? See how bright that is? Woo! Yeah. Another failure, I forgot. A couple other. One set up to a failure, and one interesting because I just had a dream about this woman. So after CL and I failed, or the second time anyways, the second time that we failed, wow, that sun. Maybe I should have waited and done this on the way back. There was this other woman, Cherry, who this was like during one of my returns to the church to find support and community. Met her and her four daughters, who were all coming of age, and you know, I mean, it was nice. It was a nice little community hub. Oh, hang on. I hate that freaking clicking of my bag. I gotta deal with that. Probably bothersome for you too. So yeah, so so we used to hang out, and of course I mean, I thought she was pretty hot, and you know, there was some flirtation, but I mean, she was managing a cafe, and I mean, her business was looking good, with her daughters looking good, and you know, using that energy to curry favor with her clients and make her business successful. And I found out her story. Like, she was married to an abusive man who used to beat her, and had an affair with someone at work, her boss at work. God, that sun, eh? Had an affair with her boss at work and got out of the marriage, fortunately. But then she set about punishing herself for having an affair. So she never remarried. She never had sex again. The guy that she had an affair with, his marriage was ruined. He left. And the two of them were engaged in a sexless companionship for the rest of their lives. As far as I know, they're still doing it. And this was her interpretation of scripture. You know, this is a horrible punishment. And of course, though, that gave her the panache of the appearance of being available and single, which attracted all of the men, including myself. And you know, we were all hoping to take a crack at the bat and win her affection, but I mean, it was clear that there was no affection to win. She had this penance, this hair shirt that she was wearing, and would continue to wear for the rest of her, I don't know, I mean, I lost touch with her after a while. But it really sort of put the fear in me because of the ongoing issues that I had about, thinking that God and family and all the forces of good in the world, in heaven, hated sex and hated love and had an expectation of us to give ourselves over to the kind of torment and sacrifice that she was able to make to please her God and her sense of right and wrong, her interpretation of scripture. So it was really damaging to be around. And that came to an end when, I was so out of it, just completely destroyed, not more or less than any other phase during this time, but I was just grateful to, be invited into their house once in a while and sit around their table and have talks and, have some, be around some beautiful women, her and her, young daughters who were older teenagers. But her, the attraction was her. Jerry, I think was his name. Yeah. And of course, he would always be hovering in the periphery as she networked with, all sorts of fellows. And then we were sitting around the table one time, and she made a comment about, publicly in front of everybody that, the least I could do was start bringing gifts to the house. And I was so embarrassed because I just socially I don't have a clue as to what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and I had horrible anxiety issues over my poverty, my money. I had been on social assistance for probably close to a decade. So I remember being in a store when my first child was a toddler, and a dollar store, and having to choose which dollar toy to buy him because I couldn't buy him both. So, the shame was horrible. Public shame is considered one of the worst sins in the Jewish world. To publicly shame somebody is worse than pretty much anything. It's like murder, they call it. It's as bad as the sin of murder. And I never went back. That ended the relationship, and so I was forced to choose between my horrible loneliness at the time, and being publicly humiliated, knowing that I had been singled out in front of her children and other men, so I never went back. Lost touch with her. That set up a horrible relationship with a Jewish woman, which lasted for over a year, who was worked with child services and would come home at night and she was an alcoholic, would get drunk and then become violent, and I would have to barricade myself in a room, and so that she couldn't be violent. And it's hard to defend yourself against a woman who's violent because you can't hit her, right? You're basically really in a difficult spot. You know, what do you do? Do you let her beat on you until she exhausts herself? Do you like fight back and, you know, try to control the way that you fight back so that you don't harm her? It's a very difficult thing to do. It's, you know, and for a woman to do that is, it's, you know, it's really, really unfair to think that a woman can confront you like a man. It's puts you in a really awkward place. Anyways, I did get out of that, and that started the next phase of what it is that I'm trying to lay down for you guys here. And then last week I dreamed about Cherry, and in the dream she wasn't holier than thou. She was smoking, I think she was smoking grass, smoking pot. And I was like, oh, really interesting. So you've become a little more flexible and forgiving with yourself. You know, that's nice to see. You know, and then we started making out. So I felt that was really a relieving. And again, like you see, so that could be like interpreted, oh, that's a satanic dream. That's Satan coming to. Hey, wow, look at you go. Can you do a lap for me? Thank you. I know it's already hot, isn't it? So, right. So this is what I've found in my life. Like, you know, like, is it Lucifer and the dark ones talking to me, or is it God talking to me? It's and it can be interpreted either way, depending on who's interpreting, depending on the person and who's doing the interpreting. I'm sure if Cherry saw this video, she'd be like, that's a satanic dream. What are you talking about? But no, I think that's a dream from God, telling me, reassuring me that I'm walking in the way, that I'm walking in His mercy and His truth. I'm depending on Him for my salvation, not on myself, and that my mistakes are covered in the blood of Christ, the only sacrifice given to us whereby a man might be cleansed of his fault and his remaining fault, which he cannot overcome, is overlooked. It is overlooked. It's not held to his account. It's because God looks inside of us and knows who we are and the effort that we're making. And all of us have to have sin, which we cannot, there's so much that doesn't get solved or resolved in us. And that must be God's will, otherwise it would go away. So sin itself serves God when you have submitted. Sin that continues on in your body and in your mind, in your will, it must serve Him. It has to. Right? So, yeah. And perfection, you chase perfection? No way, forget about it. That's the Luciferian path. It leads to the Luciferian path. So, yeah, that's what I interpret it as. Hey, good morning. And then, oh geez, now I forget. I had some good points there. So, gosh, that's too bad. I had some really good theological points that are now lost to me. gonna say? Oh well. So that set up the next chapter, which was Chrissy. What was the freaking points I was gonna make about theology? Oh well, can't remember. If I do remember, I'll send it your way.